You're watching Burning Hot Topics. If you're not subscribed to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and share these videos on your social media platforms. Previously on the Sports and Political channel of LB, I talked about an individual by the name of Reverend Amos C. Brown. And in that video, I articulated about how Reverend Amos C. Brown, who is the vice chair of the NAACP out in San Francisco, as well as one of the members of the Reparations Task Force appointed by California Governor Gavin Newsom, put out a statement in which he rejected a $5 million reparations cash payments for the residents out in San Francisco. Now, that came with a lot of backlash that he received when patrons called his phone number. I was one of the ones that called his phone number. After the backlash he received for rejecting that $5 million proposal, because for him, he want you to have a job. We got to work with the Biden administration, and that he wants you to have a job. He don't want you to have $5 million in your hand the way you can decide what you want to do with it. You can decide to get your own form of education. You can decide where you want to live. You can decide if you wanted to get some health care, some proper health care, right? Because in his little 5-part plan, we talked about housing, education, right? Health care, and some Fillmore project, along with one other thing, or the Biden infrastructure. Yeah, because like I said before, he don't want you to have $5 million. He wants you to have a job, right? Where you could be subjected to getting fired, where you get paid pennies on the dollar, where you are behest and beholden to your supervisor, instead of being your own boss and owning your own business, because with $5 million, you can do that. So he went on Roland Martin's show, and the man didn't have enough class to stand by what he said. Oh, that was a misprint. You gotta understand, there was a misprint. There was typos there. Misprint. Yeah, I always support the cash payments. Yeah. So also, he said that $5 million was an arbitrary number. Now, mind you, he came out after the backlash. He said he always supported cash payments. So if you always supported cash payments, then what was that statement you put out? You bull jiving con artist. Jive talking, jive turkey. What was that statement? And then that statement had typos in it. So who wrote that statement? Did you write that statement? Did somebody in your congregation wrote that statement? Did one of your side hoes write that statement? So let me get this straight. Once again, you put out a statement saying that you reject $5 million cash payments and reparations. But all of a sudden, after the backlash you received, you were always in support of cash payments, but $5 million is an arbitrary number. That number just came out of the blue. Then who did the calculation then? If $5 million is such an arbitrary number. Plus, here's another question for you, Amos Brown, right? because I refuse to call you a reverend. You pork chop preacher and pulpit pimp. Look here. If $5 million is such an arbitrary number, then what the hell is the real number? Oh, we got to be a little bit more realistic. $5 million is a realistic number to me. It's a very realistic number to me. And it's a very realistic number that other folks who are looking to get reparations, considering that the United States of America has all this money to send to the Ukraine. Because see, the more I think about it, the more you talk, the more you sound like an operative of the Biden administration. Because ain't Kamala Harris was your ain't you the pastor to Kamala Harris, right? Didn't Kamala Harris go to your church? Huh? I'm just asking a question here. What ties you got to the Biden administration? Because you're sitting up here talking this nonsense about infrastructure so we can get jobs and all that. When we had $5 million, we wouldn't need a job. But $5 million is such an arbitrary number. Then what the hell is the realistic number then? Since we got to be a little bit more realistic, right? What's the number supposed to be then? If we're supposed to be realistic? See, is this double talking, this shucking and jiving, this off-brand, off-code behavior. And you go Roland Martin show? Roland Martin. Now, look, there's some things I really want to say, but I don't want to run the risk of getting a strike for cyberbullying. But there's some things in my head and in my heart I want to get out my mouth when it comes to that gelatinous freak. Now, Roland Martin, not that long ago, when we was out here pushing for reparations, he's sitting up here wagging his finger, spitting in our face, talking about, you ain't gonna get studied. You know, bro, Democrat. You ain't gonna get it studied. Right? Now all of a sudden, he's for reparations. He's for cash payments. How about that? How about that? See, it's amazing that all these clowns out here that was running their mouth talking this nonsense about, oh, well, you know, reparations so divisive and you need to vote Democratic because you're not going to get it studied. Now, I want to ask everybody that's watching this video, think about this, right? When has anyone in the Democratic Party supported reparations? They held that sham fly-by-night reparations hearing a few years ago where you had people like Jonathan Capehart, right? Was his whole MO is LGBT. He liked chasing interracial sexual access, right? He has a thing for white chocolate and his bussy, right? Then you have the individual named Coleman Hughes who likes sliding down subway poles with dookie stains in his drawers. That guy. Then you have Danny Glover and all these other suck-ups, sellouts, suck-ups, and simps that run their mouth talking about how black folks shouldn't deserve reparations and all that because it was so long ago and, you know, we've moved on from that and that we can use education and we can use housing vouchers and all these same talking points that came up and about, right? Because see, in another video, I'm gonna peep game from a different angle because we're gonna call out a white supremacist and Bill Maher and charlatan the fraud, right? Because they did a song and dance not that long ago on Bill Maher's trashy ass show on HBO. Now, back to MC Brown. Because see, I have a problem with a con artist. I have a problem with a person who is an agent. I have a problem with a person who talks out both sides of their mouth trying to burn both ends of the candle. Now, you said $5 million was an arbitrary number. So what's the real number? What is it? What's the real number? You see, what you went on Roland Martin to talk that nonsense, it ain't good enough. You done talking, motherfucker. You done. You're done. You hear me? You old crusty bastard. You're done. You're done. Got younger generation out here getting more done in 5 years than what you did in 5 decades. You're done. You don't speak for me. You don't speak for no other foundational black American out here. You're done. You're done talking. I'm going to hide behind Dr. King, and I'm going to quote Dr. King and name drop Dr. King every time I get a chance so I can raise my profile, so I can boost my stock. Well, unfortunately, you don't live by knowing what Dr. King talked about. So why are you even speaking his name? Why? You don't practice what you preach. So don't put Dr. King's name in your goddamn mouth. You sitting up here talking about it was a misprint. Where's the misprint? Where's the misprint? Where was it? You see, while you quoting Dr. King, right? And while you name dropping Dr. King every chance you get, obviously you missed the part where he said we coming to get that check. And you sitting up here trying to derail progress because $5 million was an arbitrary number. I can't stand these old individuals, these old, these old ninjas. Because, like I said before, in my main channel, before YouTube decided to come around the block and put a strike on my channel, as I said before, when black folks get $5 million cash in their hand, it would render individuals like Amos C. Brown, Al Sharpton, and people of their ilk rather useless. There'll be no use for them because they couldn't be skinning and grinning and killing and shilling for the Democrats no more. Black clergy is not more than a crash test dummy for these white supremacists out here. No one sit up here and quote the Bible and get people to put money into your church and all that. And when if these people ever decide to give back to the community? Black folks want to turn up because this injustice is done in the neighborhood, whether it be a white supremacist coming around town, shooting down black folks and all that, or you got a proposal that's on the verge of being passed. You have people out there that's sitting on the council who accept the proposal and all that. So what makes Infamous Amos so special? But it was a misprint, right? It was a misprint. There was all one big mistaken identity, right? That's what you're trying to tell us? Is that the kind of stuff you're trying to feed us? Look, we was born at night, not last night. You doing all this explaining and all this double talking makes me think you're an agent. So when have you always been a proponent of cash payments? Amos Brown, Amos C. Brown. When have you been a proponent of cash payments? And if you were a proponent of cash payment this whole time, then what the fuck was that statement you dropped last week? You ain't fooling nobody. And that's all I got to say about that. Now, if you're not a subscriber to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and share these videos on your social media platforms. This is Burning Hot Topics. Peace.